Are they exaggerating, wildly exaggerating the efficacy and the benefits of the flu shot? I'm talking about the medical establishment and the mainstream media, and I'm going to show you an article which relates to this, and I will tell you my big concern. Now, if we're talking about medicine and science, the job of true, real science is to be completely honest, be transparent, not to exaggerate things, not to leave things out. And of course, like with any medical intervention or synthetic compound, everybody must know what's really going on. Now, I made a video not so long ago about my own decision to decline the flu shot based on evidence that I was seeing. And I will say that I know many people, I have many close family members who look at the same data and they're in more vulnerable groups, and they decide that they do want to proceed with the flu shot. And that's fair enough. And that's what true medicine is all about, informed decisions. But absolutely not. I have zero patience for the medical establishment or the mainstream media. Well, we don't expect too much from the mainstream media if they are deliberately exaggerating efficacy. But let me share this article with you in the BBC, and then I will explain to you my concerns as a doctor. So here we go. This was a recent article. Dad almost died after flu put him in coma. And they have a picture here, and they say that a father of 3 who said he nearly died and spent 16 days in an induced coma as a result of contracting flu is urging people to get the shot. So there you go, an alarmist headline right there. I don't doubt that what happened was true, but what is the actual story all about? Let's dive in. So this gentleman here, a garage owner from Sutton in Ashfield in the Nottinghamshire area, was admitted to Kingsmill Hospital's intensive care unit last December. The 42-year-old who hadn't received the shot said he had to go on a ventilator to help his breathing and a dialysis machine as his kidneys were not working properly. He is due to get his first ever flu jab on Saturday and is urging others to do the same. So of course, like with any respiratory infection out there, there will always be a certain percentage of people who get severely affected. And clearly, unfortunately, this gentleman had been really badly affected on the ICU, on a ventilator, and receiving dialysis. The question is, what were his underlying risk factors and how common is this? And why would they use this story to push the flu shot in absolutely everybody? Let's read on. Mr. Clark said that within a few hours, I went from thinking I had a nasty cold to being in an induced coma and on a ventilator. I didn't appreciate how serious flu could be. He said when he got to the GP, his blood oxygen levels were only 72%. That's alarming. Staff tried different monitors, and then he was in multi-organ failure by the time he got to hospital. It then says that when he finally came around, one of the things he first remembers is a doctor saying, "Well done." She said she'd not known many people come back from as far as I did. This is the part now that I take particular issue with, and this is where they are not being honest. He said he had no underlying medical conditions and considered himself to be in good health, and he's backing calls from the NHS, that's the health service in the UK, for eligible people to take up a free flu shot, which is now being rolled out. So no underlying medical conditions and in good health, hey. Well, let's look at this for a moment. Here is a picture of him here in the article, and this is clearly after he got well. He may have even lost weight during his illness. But let's be very honest here. For a 42-year-old, he is clearly out of shape. Look at this here, and this is me being honest as a doctor. This big belly here actually represents visceral fat, which goes with significant insulin resistance and inflammation. So he is far from being healthy, in my opinion. So why would they say he has no underlying medical conditions and he's in good health? That is simply not the case. So that is not me being nasty or deliberately offensive. That is me actually being a doctor and telling the truth. That big gut there means that he is not in good health. He does have an underlying medical condition that puts him at severe risk. So why would that not be mentioned at all? We saw during the pandemic that being overweight and obese was probably the biggest risk factor of getting a severe case of infection. And it was barely ever mentioned in the mainstream media, and they are still doing it now. The article concludes with a respiratory consultant, that's an attending physician, saying while influenza is a mild illness for most people, it can cause severe illness and can be life-threatening. And then they use it to say the shot is very effective at preventing the spread of the virus within the community, and it helps us to protect our patients and families. So I have a major issue with articles like this, and you will see lots of articles like this. And this is the whole point. Why is the mainstream media and the medical establishment so dishonest? And it seems like the entire purpose of this article was to push the shot. And if you want to push a shot, at least be honest, at least talk about real data. But anybody who's reading that article would think that the shot is something that everybody should take, and healthy people can get as sick as this gentleman was, which was severely ill. So I want to talk about my 3 concerns as a doctor, and this keeps on happening, and it's so disappointing, but not really surprising. Number 1, they talk about the flu shot being very effective at protecting, what's the term they use? Protecting yourself and your family and your community. Is that really based on real data? Because I can show you evidence. In fact, I will flash out some articles here questioning this notion of its efficacy. There have been some very questionable results when you look at actual efficacy, and that is because the influenza virus rapidly mutates. Am I saying that it doesn't work for anybody? It doesn't help anybody, particularly vulnerable people? I'm not saying that. I'm saying at least be honest and don't wildly exaggerate efficacy. That is a job of true medicine and science. Number 2, why completely ignore metabolic health? As a doctor who specializes in metabolic health, how could they not even mention it? And this happened during the pandemic. I mean, what a perfect time if they were being transparent. Tell people the truth. Tell people that being significantly overweight, whether you're a man or a woman, but in this case, if you're a man and you have belly fat, that is raging insulin resistance and inflammation. That's a metabolic health disaster waiting to happen. He probably had an elevated fasting insulin level. He may have been pre-diabetic officially. He may have had other abnormal parameters and labs that go with that, like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, who knows? But clearly, looking at his picture after he was already ill, that tells me that he was not healthy. So if the mainstream media and medical establishment was honest, and if they actually wanted to be proper doctors who were caring of health and well-being, they would say, if you're out of shape, please get in shape. That's really going to help boost your metabolic and immune health. But not one word about that. How typical. And number 3, I want to continue with this theme of not exaggerating things. When you're talking about any synthetic compound, and yes, anything that is injected into the body, in fact, any prescription pill, is by definition synthetic. It's not something which is natural. It is held to a completely different standard than, say, a doctor who's telling people to eat more apples or blueberries or go for more walks. When you're talking about anything synthetic, the standards must be up here. You must be completely honest and transparent. And I don't see that at all. So you get a lot of people out there who will say, well, doctors who are into metabolic health talk about doing natural things. Where are the randomized control trials? Well, of course, you're never going to get a proper randomized control trial on the benefits of eating a bowl full of blueberries. Who's ever going to fund that? Or the benefits of going for more walks or muscle strengthening activities. But common sense tells you that those are obviously good things to be doing. But these people who are all about pushing prescriptions, pushing injections, they have to be held to account and they must be honest. And this is why people are fast losing trust in our institutions. And it's so sad. We need a complete revolution. We need honesty. We need transparency. We need to completely reform medical education. So doctors are looking at articles like that and saying, hold on a minute, you need to be honest here. You can't pretend that this was a completely healthy father who suddenly got sick and had no risk factors. He had a massive risk factor. You can't use articles like this to basically push anything. You can certainly talk about the benefits of any intervention, but you have to be honest about it. This shouldn't be some sort of sales pitch for any injection, prescription. That is not right. Health and medicine is about true informed consent and patient autonomy. That's all I've got to say about that. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I enjoy hearing from you. Check in the links down below for my website, all the other work I do, and my natural fat loss and insulin resistance reversal program. We've had a lot of great feedback for that. Also in the links down below, our natural health and wellbeing store, ohighwellness.com. If you're in the USA, North America, ohighwellness.co. if you're in the UK, Europe. If you haven't already signed up for my free newsletter, why not? Please do so. That link down below as well. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Make sure you've subscribed to this channel. And if you did like this video, you will also enjoy some of my other videos on how to optimize your metabolic health naturally. Take care, everyone, and we will speak again very soon.